guy. I got a big announcement. Huge news for our listeners.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's hear
they
it.
They might not be thrilled about it, but
oh boy,
here we go. They might be.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I have to let you know that, and this is the truth, that I just saved a bunch of money by switching my car insurance to Geico. And I'm not kidding.
I believe you.
I just feel like I have to say that because it's.
But Allstate is our sponsor, so now we have an issue. So,
well, tell Allstate to kiss my ass. No, but. Dead ass, like, I won't get into the specifics, but I don't pay like an ultra high amount of insurance because I have the basic car insurance. So like if I get into an accident, I'm fucked. But my car insurance was like edging up to, I had Progressive, and every year it just got progressively more expensive.
Oh,
and now
like the name promises,
like their name, right? They just got progressively more expensive. So, I'm paying rent. I live in New York City. And I don't work up the highest paying job. So any little bit off is like whatever. But like literally looking at it, I'm saving off off the entire policy. I'm saving like $500. Wow, it's huge.
That is amazing.
Yeah, I saw the price and I thought something was up.
You just inquired about it and said, "Hey, let me just."
Okay, so I'll tell you how much because I don't fucking care.
It's not about how much. No, it's not. It's about like what made you decide to go to Geico?
Well, it's part of that. So like basically, they send you when your policy is done, you have to renew your policy. So Progressive is like, hey, here's the renewal price, whatever. Here's the renewal, like, and you pay a little bit to renew, I guess, and then it goes down to whatever. So all in all, my whole policy was like over $1,000 or whatever for 6 months. So, and I have the basic low, and I'm, I don't drive a lot. Like I drive I put maybe 6,000 miles on my car per year. Like that's it. So, basically it was when I got the policy, it was like 150, maybe 140 a month. And then it just kept climbing, every month, every year it'd be like $20, it'd be $10 more and then $10 more. So I'm on my third or fourth year and the renewal was like 185 or 190. And I was just like, why? And I remember I reached out to them. They were like, this is just New York state regulations and this is what the price is, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, all right. And I just bought it. But then I'm like, now that, I have a little bit more to pay, I was like, let me just go. So Geico, who I used to have at one point, actually, Geico sent me an email. They're like, hey, here's something we think you really might like. So I was like, all right, let me buy it.
Really win.
See, that's why people think emails. They think like, oh, I don't like to receive emails. The people that shit works. Sometimes you never know when an email will hit you right. So
I mean, that's why they still do it to this day. Email is effective. Like it's just random. You'll ignore.
People think it's junk, but it's
but then one thing that catches your eye will be a sale for them. So
and I mean, then and it worked because like to do the policy, I had to pay right away. Which is fine. I don't care. So, but they were like, yeah, they said it included as quotes or whatever, which they didn't include any quotes, but they were like, hey, what's your name? Fill it out. So I was like, all right, I just want to see what it is. And then when they showed how much it is, I said, oh my God, that's like huge. It's basically $100 off every month. So I was like, yeah, it's big. And I think part of it too is because I took a defensive driving course.
Yeah,
so that takes, So all that stuff added up, I guess. Whatever. But anyway, so let's talk real stuff.
That's good. I like, listen, it's good to save money. It's good to, get a,
I could buy something like, especially like my rent went up too. So really, I probably won't really be seeing that money because of how much more my rent is. But
hey, that's more
at least it's
pocket,
not.
Though.
In my head, I'm thinking like I had to pay this insurance with my rent. Now, at least this will ease up some of the, and car insurance is crazy. I mean, I understand it, but like You don't ever get into accidents. You're just like, I'm just paying this money.
No, I mean that's
for nothing really.
That's it's incredible how they built that system where like
how you need
like,
to have
you could pay for 20 years and then you get to one accident and they'll raise your premium. But like, what about all that old money you spent? It's just it's a system just to gouge money. It's
and you don't need insurance. You don't need insurance for anything in your life but car insurance. If you have a car, like you have to have
that's mandatory. I mean, that's mandatory by law. So that's like it makes money. You create laws to force consumers to get insurance.
To do it. I mean, you can't do it. You can't. You can't have a car without a license. I mean, without insurance. So it's crazy, but
it's ingenious.
But yeah. So let's get this show on the road, shall we?
All right. Let me do the intro. That reminds me, I do have to create kind of like a actual intro.
I thought we had one.
We have one. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be something like that. But I was trying to do something like that in that style. But maybe something like a couple of seconds more. Unless you like the short, kind of din.
Nah, it's cool. It's cool. Yeah. Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I was like, I like keeping the NES aesthetic. So
I like it. For once we agree on something. Not for once, but
yeah, every once in a blue moon.
Yeah, we'll actually agree on something. It's crazy.
We'll see. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Steve from the 8BG, and I'm here with the co-hostess with the mostest, sir.
Major No Fun, Mr. Whoever, whatever you want to call me.
Yes, Twitch Major No Fun, aka Sterl.
I haven't streamed in a while, but I might stream tonight. So,
okay.
There's that.
Well, speaking of streaming, so since you haven't been streaming, has there been any games you've been playing?
No, I've been playing. I still play the usual. I still play Apex Legends, which my goal this season was to get to Diamond and ranked. And once we got to Platinum, it's just like you could tell it takes a different level of skill to get to that next level because of the way the game is, and it also a lot of the fun is taken out of the game where. Any other, like when you play publics or you play like the earlier ranks, you can kind of just run around, kill people or whatever. But once you get to like platinum, people start what they call ratting, which is in battle royales. It's literally kind of like being a little rat where you kind of hide most of the match.
Okay.
Until you get to the end, and then you come out and start fighting like at the end.
I've done usually a couple times in Fortnite.
It works, but it's one. But like when it's ranked, more people do it, and they either wait for a fight to begin, and then they try to go clean up. Because the Apex does some rank things smart, where your rank you get ranking points, and your ranking points are based on kind of how you play the match. So you get the most points by winning a match, like straight up. That's what gets you the most. But you also get a decent amount of points for getting kills or assists with kills. So it promotes you actually killing a few people. Now, Apex doesn't have it's not 100 and 120 or whatever people. It's only 60 per round. So, but it's teams of 3 always. So it's not so you have 20 teams. You're one of them. So it's 19 teams to kill. So they say you get 6 kills is the most amount of multiplier you can get. So either 3 assists or whatever. A kill and assist counts as the same, which I like. So based on how many kills you get and then how high you place. So to get the most points, you have to get the 6 points, 6 kill points or whatever. So it could be 6 assists or 6 kills and then come in first place. That's how you get the most amount of points. So the way the ranking system works is that's the point system. So once you add up points, the ranking is like you're in a league once you get 5,000 points. Then you get to the next league at 7,000, whatever it is. So how they make it difficult is for bronze players, it costs points to play. So for bronze players, you don't pay.
So the points that you earn throughout the matches. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So basically, when you start, if you start at the beginning, you have 0 ranking points. You just have no ranking. So in the Bronze League, when you play, your rank penalty is 0 because you're in bronze, whatever. Once you get to silver, After you get through the bronze league, which is like 1,000 points or whatever, when you get to silver, your ranking points, it costs 12 points to play. So like say you have 1,200 ranking points to be in silver. And from that point on, it takes 12 points away from you every time you play. Doesn't seem like a lot, but there's a point where you can't go once you hit once you hit the next level. So like you're in bronze. There's 4 rankings in bronze. Bronze 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, right? Once you get out of bronze, you can't go back to bronze. So you can't lose points.
Okay.
But once you enter silver, you're at kind of like at the ground level of silver.
Okay.
So then you can lose points all the way back to the ground level, but you can't go below it. So basically, the math equals out to like every match. If you do the 6 points and you win the match, you kind of end up with like around 250 points, which is a lot. You get about 250, and to rank up every like from silver 4 to silver 3, I would say it costs like 500-600 points or whatever. So getting through bronze is easy. You can't lose any points really. Just getting through silver is pretty easy because really it's kind of like one kill and you're kind of good. You're not going to lose any points. You just gotta getting through gold a little more challenging because it's 24 points per match. And the people are kind of better. So but once you get out of gold till you get to platinum, it's 36 points a match. And where it becomes an issue is that, that means you now have to kind of kill 3 to 4 people just to even out. Then you have to kind of start coming in top 5, and up to really make progress. Because now every match, if you play the match and even if you get top 10, you're still losing 20 points if you don't have any kills.
Wow, that's crazy.
So you got to combine the way people play because now people play rats. So people are waiting for you to fight. So a lot of times once you get into a fight, you might kill 2 people, right? All good kill. You might kill 2. You might kill. Then here comes another team because they're waiting. They're listening. Or there's a fight. So as soon as they know you're weak from that previous fight, they jump in, swoop some easy kills, and then that's literally all it is all the time. It's people waiting around, finding where the circle is going to end, and just not fighting until they either hear, And so when you think about it now, 36 points is kind of like a lot now, and in every rank it gets higher. So like diamond is 48 points, and people play even better, and the skill is better. And then the master leagues is like 60 points, whatever it is, but it's a lot. So
what's the like highest? Like, so I know you mentioned the bronze.
Apex Predator is the highest.
Oh wow, okay.
Predator. Then below that is Masters, and below that is Diamond, and then below that is where I'm at. I wanted to get the Diamond. Is it possible that I can get the Diamond? Is my skill there?
No,
we've won a few matches in We've won a few matches in Platinum here and there, but like I said, you have to kind of consistently play well. So and plus I play with my friends that we play with are kind of highly aggressive because they don't care, right? And it's not like they don't care about their points, but they had the mindset of, since going up from gold, let's just run in, let's just play. We hunting people down kind of thing. And then now we're in plat and we're realizing this shit ain't working anymore.
You got to be more strategic with how you guys play.
So and then at the same time they're kind of like lamenting it a little bit, like this is boring. This is it's like it's not fun anymore. But so we're having to learn how to adjust to this new play style because we used to just kind of run willy nilly, and then you combine in the characters. Like what I should speak about is they launched a new character. I can't remember. His name is Seer. He's black. Kind of looks like.
Doesn't it say like Little Nas X like that? He looks like, or
he's very. I don't know if that was the inspiration, but it's very.
Yeah, I saw when they promoted him. I saw a couple of comments that mentioned.
Yeah,
that, so
he has like a vest on and he's shirtless, and he has like a kind of like a hat, and he moves, but he doesn't carry like in the game. He doesn't talk like he's like maybe of that persuasion or anything. He just kind of he just, he actually talks about because of his eyes. He has he's black, but he has these really bright blue eyes because I don't know, he's cursed or something.
Okay.
So he kind of talks about like I'm not as intimidating as I look and things like that. Whatever. Anyway, character design's okay, but he broke the game when he came in. He was so powerful with his abilities, where he had a heartbeat sensor, so he could basically tell if you were through walls. Then he had an item thing that he used that disrupts your actions. So let's say you were healing, it would stop you and it would take damage from you and it could shoot through walls. I don't know why they thought that was like a good idea. And after it hits you, it shows your location even through a wall for 7 seconds. So they could see you because he's a scout kind of character. So he can tell where you are. So he gets that ability. Now you can only use it once every 20 seconds, but it's so powerful that when you were playing, everybody had this character. And then his ultimate throws a big kind of web that anybody running or shooting inside of it, you can see their exact location and their health.
Wow, that's crazy.
So he was broken. They had they tuned him down. He's still pretty good, but that made the game really unfun for a while because that's you're like, oh, I'm gonna run behind this rock and heal, and all of a sudden, and then you get it's one thing. I actually like the ability to use your gun to use the heartbeat sensor to tell if someone's hiding and then exposing them with the thing. I like that. That makes sense with his kit. But the fact that it did damage through walls didn't crazy. Make sense. Yeah. So
like if I just they also hurt you.
Yeah. So he could sometimes kill people with it if you're because let's say, okay, you're really weak from a fight and you're getting third party by him. You're healing, bam, he hits you with that. You stop healing and if you have less health, you're dead. Even though you're playing strategically great, you just break the game.
Have they addressed that? Since
they took away the damage and they nerfed a lot of his stuff. He's still decent, but he's not the must pick, that he was before. So, but yeah, so that's basically what I've been playing.
Oh, nice.
I've been playing other stuff, but that's the most probably interesting thing.
I mean, I'm down to talk about the stuff you've been playing.
I just can't think of anything else right now that I've been playing in detail. Like I loaded up I played Dirt 5 for a little bit.
Dirt 5? Okay.
Dirt, yeah. Like I mean, because it was free. I played a little bit of Final Fantasy 12, Mega Man X Collection. I just felt like playing a Mega Man game for no reason. I downloaded Destiny 2 again.
Really? Isn't it free now? Because I heard Destiny is.
It is free. It's very free. It's been free for a while, actually, but now it's cross-play free. I think not even just cross-progression, but because it used to be cross-progression. Like if you played on PC, you could go to PS4 if you wanted to, or you could go from PS4 to, you could play whatever platform you want. Just you have to go. Now it's cross-play completely. So you can play with your friends on other consoles, which is huge. It's been free for like the last year and a half or something. It's been free for a while. So I went in there and because I feel like the issues that we used to have with the game, at least why I stopped playing, has to be gone at this point. Because the issue was just like the multiplayer wasn't as fun as the first one, which might still be the case. But the reasons it wasn't fun, they changed. In terms of gun balance, it was the first game you could use regular guns, special guns, and then like strong heavy guns. So matches were like everybody kind of had a sniper or a shotgun at all times, and then they had a regular gun, whatever. And then you could get like you have a heavy rocket launcher or grenade launcher or whatever. And the heavy weapons, like in Halo, only the ammo for it, because you have your guns always at all times. But so the way they balanced it was ammo up for it would appear like at certain points in the match. Think of like Halo rocket launchers. You knew they always came back at a certain time. So this was similar. So in Destiny 2, they were like, let's just throw all the special weapons. We're just going to turn them all into heavy weapons. So shotguns, snipers, rocket launchers, they were all heavy weapons. And now, so the regular gameplay was using, pistols and assault rifles. And that kind of took out some of the fun. It took out a lot of the fun of it. And also, it was a lack of content. Like Destiny, they fixed the issues with Destiny 1, which was the story was awful. It was very rushed and put together, you could tell. Destiny 2 was a little bit more cinematic and music and stuff. The production value of Destiny 2 was great. The story plot itself may have been a little it's not, you're not getting Shakespearean things there. But so what, that wasn't great, but the presentation and everything was cool. It was very good. And that was it. There was nothing. The rest of the game content was very bad. The raid wasn't ready right away. Things what people were expecting. So we got bored of that game pretty fast. Fast forward to today, game is free. You still have to buy some of the content. Like there's a lot of content that's locked behind paywalls.
For like forbidden the free. I know I have a friend that plays Destiny 2, and he's like, I think they have a DLCs or a new season, like maybe like every year or something like that.
Pretty much. And a lot of the, like, if you play the game completely free, you can play basically the base year of the game content like that came out. If you never played it, you still get a lot for free. You still can play most of the multiplayer, not all of it. Some modes are locked behind certain, but you do get you still can play a lot of stuff. I just don't know exactly how much. I bought, and also I would say if you really want to get into it, you can buy, there's versions that you can buy that include like you maybe spend $60 right now and you can get pretty much everything up until this point, which is a lot. Because I bought whatever version, like maybe like last year I bought it. And when I got into it, I was overwhelmed because there was so much content. Because I haven't played the game in like 2-3 years. So having all that locked at once, is a new weapon type, there's a new subclass for my character, is also, So but basically what I played, I just jumped back into it just to try out multiplayer. And it's so weird playing different first-person shooters, especially Bungie's first-person shooters. You can tell are made for consoles. Yeah, just the way the characters feel on control. They have like a heaviness to them, and the turning speed. Everything was made for console. So having it on PC, it looks better, it runs better, but you feel kind of heavy using the character on PC, where PC is so quick and twitchy with a lot of movement. So the heaviness, like you can still shoot quickly, but there's still a heaviness to your movement. So it took me a while to get really used to that in the multiplayer match. And the fact that I think I'm probably playing against people who haven't stopped playing the game. So I got really beat. I mean, my team won, but it wasn't because of me. It was, but it felt like it, if the content's there, and I think some of the other modes, the multiplayer modes are fun. I don't see the harm in it, especially if it's free. You can probably play a lot of the game for free. You're like, so yeah, I don't know. So I played that just to see how it was, and that was I didn't come away like, oh, why did I do this?
But you came away pretty, like, sound like you came out pretty satisfied. A good.
Well, I came out saying that this game there's a possibility, and there's some new Witch Queen is the newest thing that's coming out for it.
Okay.
The new expansion, but it's of course it's full price of $60. So I don't know if I'm not obviously not going to get that because I
still selling it for $60 base game.
Yeah. No. The other crazy thing about it is that, like I said, the issue too is if you let's say like me, you play Destiny 2, and I have a bunch of like good guns from back then, and they up your power level to the point so that you can just play certain missions. Like they don't hide it behind like you should level up or whatever. They use a system that allows them to like say you can jump into this content. The issue I found is that if you haven't played the game and you jump, let's say you buy whatever edition that comes with all the stuff, there's too much. There's so much there.
Yeah, it feels overwhelming like that. You have so many
years
choices
of content. So I'm looking at all these guns, and that's the other thing too about Destiny is part of the fun is figuring out how to get some of the exotic weapons and the exotic armors and guns. And I'm looking at like they list them by years, and some of them I don't even know if you can get anymore, and things like So it's like this is a year 2 exotic, this is a year 3 exotic. And they have a whole bunch of guns and armors and stuff. And because exotics are the cool things. Like, you want to get the exotics. And I looked at it and I was like, I don't even know where to fucking start. Like, because that's the other thing about exotics is they don't, I don't know if they do now, but they didn't mostly tell you how to get them. They might now, but usually you kind of had to talk to someone and open up a quest, and then maybe you would get this. So Now, if you add in all of these years worth of stuff into it, it's like I don't know where to even begin with this game. Do I play regular missions? Mm-hmm. Do I try to do a raid? What do I do? Do I play the Trials of Osiris, which is a multiplayer like serious thing? I don't even know. So it can be a bit overwhelming, I think. Which is a better problem to have than what it was before, where it was nothing to do.
Underwhelming.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's better to be overwhelmed than underwhelmed, in my opinion. So, right. But that's it. Well, wait, I got a question for you.
Sure.
Because I'm not going to ruin it for the listeners when you say what game you've been playing, but I did watch a little stream of it. And all the kiddies out there and all the fucking, excuse my language, all the gaming journalism plays have been giving this game creme de la creme, 10 out of 10, all across the board.
I see that.
So what game is this? And what have you been playing? And what do you think about it?
So I've been playing Deathloop on the PS5. What was it? It's last week. I bought it, I think, on the second day.
No, you bought a full price game.
I bought a full price game.
Mr. Cheap himself has bought another full price game.
Every once in a while, I'm gonna
What made you buy this full price game? Was it? Did you read? Did you hear about it? Because I saw trailers and stuff, and I was like, okay, I didn't really think anything of it. Then I saw reviews, and I mean, I'm like you shouldn't base everything on reviews, but when two separate outlets give this game perfect score, I'm like, all right, what do you know? Tell me. So what do you?
Okay, so I'm probably 4 or 5 hours into the game, and the reason why I bought it in the first place was it was just kind of random. Like I saw it last year with the trailers. I didn't really get an understanding of what type of game it was. It was just like, okay.
Me neither. I knew it was first person.
That's all I knew about it. I just couldn't tell what it was. And then I did see some of the reviews, but I was just like, let me just take a random, let me just randomly buy it and see how it is. Maybe it might pleasantly surprise me, because I made sure I didn't read anything about it. I made sure I stayed away from any preview coverage or anything else. The only thing I think I thought it was I thought it was gonna be like a super hot, super hot, for a PS5 or PS4.
Yes.
So I thought it was gonna be something like that, because
which is a great game.
Yeah, it is really good. So that's what I'm kind of like have my mind set on, was playing it like super hot. Like, okay, it's probably gonna be a super hot type game, and let's try it out. And after I bought it, as I'm playing it, it was very different than what I thought. And what's good about the game, was kind of really good, is that if you go in this kind of blind, you have no idea what kind of game you're playing. So it plays a lot slower than I thought it was going to play. And I'm just kind of following the directions, because like the first hour or so is like a tutorial, because they kind of like guide you through how to use the weapons, of course. And then, after you finish I guess the first section of the game, it's like a whole bunch of menus. Like there's so many menus, there's so many layers to the game. Like you have to know how to add your when something enhancements and guns, they tell you everything. So in the first hour and a half or so, you're going to be bombarded with like menus and how to play this. What does this do? What does this mean? What does that do? And that was pretty much my experience in the beginning. And then after that, once I kind of got through that, I kind of understood a little bit, what the game was after I died. So it's like a roguelike, I would say I don't want to say Metroidvania. I thought it was gonna be a Metroidvania game, but it's actually a more like a roguelike first person shooter. With what type of elements? I guess roguelike's probably the best one. I'm trying to think of another genre it's similar to. People had made mention of a game called Arcane, but I've never played it before, so I have no frame of reference to kind of like talk about that. But yeah, it's a roguelike first person shooter where you have to make your way from the beginning of the level to the end and kind of finish missions. Oh, here's what I was going to compare it to. It reminded me a lot of GoldenEye, because before you go into the mission, you can select
GoldenEye.
Yeah, because you can, how in GoldenEye you have certain objectives to do in the level before you can finish it. Like if you select, depending on the difficulty, you can select. You can do this mission, do that mission. So it kind of reminded me of that when you're in game, and then you can have cruisers show you which part of the mission you can do. So you can do a side mission or finish the main mission. The objective of the game is to in each level find one of the 8 I was going to call them variants, but there's a different word that they use. one of the 8 I guess bosses, we'll call them that for now. And you have to destroy them. But you can kind of like play, you can select between 4 levels and kind of play it like however you want. And then within the levels, you can find different things that can augment your powers or add on to your powers, different guns. And then of course, if you die, you can lose them. But they have a system where you can kind of like preserve certain weapons for a certain amount of time before you lose them after each death. And then afterwards, you can play like that. And what's really cool about the game is that in each level that you play, there's someone else that can come into your game and try to stop you. So the game is involving this. The game story is between a gentleman named Colt and a woman named Julia. Now you're not really sure what their relationship is like, but throughout the game, Julia's always talking to you, and then you always see like writings on the wall that kind of tells you very cryptic clues or like information. So there's writings on the wall that you really don't really understand. And Julia and Colt have a very intense relationship, meaning that Julia sounds like she really hates Colt, but Colt has no idea what's happening. It seems like he's lost his memory, so he doesn't know what happens. And then he finds out throughout the game that he has the ability to wake up in a death loop, I guess. Like he, even though he dies, he
Groundhog Days. Doesn't matter what happens.
Exactly. Like tomorrow.
Come back.
What's that Tom Cruise movie? It's, The Day After Tomorrow.
No, it wasn't The Day After Tomorrow.
No, that Day After. Sorry, that was a horror movie. That was like Tomorrow.
I know what the name of the movie was supposed to be.
Tomorrow Never Dies.
Edge of Tomorrow. It was Edge of Tomorrow. Edge of Tomorrow.
That's the Tomorrow Never Dies. I'm naming every movie.
Yeah, that's a Bond movie.
Exactly. I knew it was a Tomorrow in there.
Yeah.
But so he, he's in the sequence where he's always like, we're living it like regular, roguelike.
Yeah.
And so
it's like a roguelike with a story that goes.
The story is pretty nice. I'll say the graphics, the presentation in the game looks really good. Like, I like the, the graphics, very stylized, very smooth, and I like the character designs, and I like the ability to go into a person's game and kind of like stop them from completing the mission, which is
so have you done that?
I've done that once, but the only issue with I don't know if it's on my end, is that the matchmaking for that takes forever. Like sometimes you'll be waiting a good 10 minutes before you can find someone whose game you can go into, and then depending on their connection, if you lose connection, it's game over. Or
maybe that's because maybe the game wasn't like I don't know if this game was on many people's radar as a game to must play, and then also could be too. Can you turn that feature off?
Yeah, you can turn that feature off. Like you can, I believe you can turn it off. I haven't tried it, but when you play as Julia, because basically Colt is the main game. I guess that's the crux of the game you're playing, and then Julia is another option where you can play as her. So if you want to go,
she has her own different progression path too.
Exactly, she has her own different progression path. She has her own weapons, her own similar skills, pretty much.
Yeah, but she's a different character. Like.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. Honestly, they play pretty much the same. They don't play that differently from each other. As far as I remember, I only played with Julia for one day, or I guess one session. But it was hard to play because every time I'm looking for a match, it's like it takes forever. And then
now I would wonder now that the game has had a much better reception, that maybe there's more people to invade. Because also too,
I played this last Saturday, so this is like I didn't.
But the game is new.
It's still fairly new, but you would think that people would play it on a new. I think.
Well, maybe word has to get out, and maybe like a couple of weeks in, maybe because 210s, it's gonna now people like. I saw like a lot of comments. People are like, "This game wasn't even on my radar, but I'll try it now because they see those high reviews." However, I want to say too, it is a single player game too, and a lot of people similar to like a Dark Souls. Some people kind of want to keep their game single player and may not want to play. They don't want to be invaded randomly, which I think might take. To me, that's a cool idea, and I think it should be on by default. Like you should just always have to have it.
That was really cool. But so for the missions that were successful, that I was able to play, because I played like maybe 2 or 3 levels where I was able to hunt the player, and it's really fun. So Julia, okay, so there's a power that Julia has, or Juliana, whatever name, Julia has, where I think it's Juliana, but Juliana has that where she can do a mimic, where she can change her appearance with a non-playable character or one of the enemies. So if you see an enemy in the game, you can switch your look so that the enemy that you switch it with will look like Juliana, and then you'll have hers look, and then you can kind of like blend in the level. I don't know how it looks on their end, because I'm pretty sure the AI in that game, or the enemies in the game probably walk a certain way. But if you're walking with a gun and it kind of look like an enemy, I don't know how it looks on their end.
From what I've heard is that the AI in the game, if all the great praise the game got, the AI is probably they said the thing that sticks out the most as
it's terrible.
It's not good. So they said it's really easy. Like if the player is not moving or something, maybe, but they said it's kind of easy to tell if this one NPC is just not acting like the rest, because the rest is very specific.
Because you still have all the abilities, you can still jump and move around and stuff like that. So you'll stick out like a sore thumb, where the AI a lot of times they're just kind of like static in one position.
Yeah,
they're doing their kind of sequence of talking or having their speech or whatever like that with another character. So that's kind of the issue with the game. And speaking of the AI, so to kind of like go back into like the whole gameplay aspect, while I do enjoy the game, at this point where I'm at, I don't feel like it's like something that I'm like, okay, this is a 10 out of 10. Like I don't feel that just yet, but I feel like
how many hours have you played?
I'd say I probably put a good, maybe 3 to 4 hours. Because I think I played because I streamed 2 sessions, right?
How many bosses have you beat out of the 8?
I beat probably 3.
Okay, so you played a good chunk of the game.
Yeah, and then the game, the game is really good too, because there's a lot of lore in the game. So there's a lot of like extra stuff like text messages, computer messages. If you're into that kind of stuff for learning the world, you can read those, and some of them are quite entertaining. But in terms of like everything else, I think the game is good. I just don't know yet where I feel like it's okay. It's 10 out of 10. It just feels like a roguelike first-person shooter. And if you die, you don't start from the beginning automatically. You get like a chance, because Cole has this power where he can when you die, you kind of set back, you're kind of pushed back a little bit further towards the beginning of the level, but not too much in, kind of like a little how should I say this? Halfway, like a little further before you died. So that way you can kind of like start over and kind of like, I guess, give yourself a second chance. So it's like a roguelike that's very generous, but it's that's what it is. That's what it is so far for me. I feel like maybe there might be more to it, but to kind of go back to the AI thing, because the graphics look really good, a lot of times you always get fooled into thinking that maybe the AI will match how good the graphics are, because you think that the AI might be really, really realistic. So a lot of times I'm walking around them very slowly and everything like that. And then once I realized how dumb they are, I'm just like, you can just run and stab them, just go take a, knife them or whatever like that silently. And it's just really easy. Like they pose no threat, which is really kind of annoying, because the game looks really good. And you would think that the AI will probably be a little bit better, where you have more dynamic enemies. I feel like the enemies in the game are just kind of like a little on the.
They're the disappointing part of the
real very non-interactive. But there are some cool things you can do with the enemies. Like again, Cole has like these not Cole. Why do I call it? Colt has like things where you can change like or hack into machines. Now distract them, or you can do things where you can get like a machine gun and you can hack that and have it look at the enemies and shoot them. So there's some fun aspects to it, but it's really not grabbing me just yet. Like I had a friend ask me during the stream, like is it worth buying? And I said I think it's good, it's fun playing it, but it's not like oh, this is the must-have game of the year. Like I'll tell you the difference. Like I know for sure when I was playing Ghost of Tsushima last year, I was in love with that game. Like as I'm playing that game, I'm like, this game is awesome. This game is, I can't stop playing it. I can't, I kept on gushing about it with one of my other friends, and I said, this game is so awesome. And I knew it was awesome as I'm playing it. This one, I feel like it's good, but I don't, and maybe there's other stuff that I have to unlock as I play it, because there could be more stuff that's there, and some games get better as it goes on. But as of right now, I'm kind of like in the middle of the game.
Okay. So the game was made by Arcane Studios, and they've had a pretty good track record with the games they made. Right? Yeah, they made Dishonored and Dishonored 2. They also made that Prey, the most recent Prey. That wasn't Prey 2, but it was like the newer reboot Prey. So a lot of people from not a lot of people, but I heard there were comparisons to Dishonored, where it's this kind of first person. You get through a stage, but you can go about it kind of how you want to. I guess the AI in Dishonored might have been much better, but but that's the lineage of the game it comes from. So these guys know how to make interesting first person shooters or whatever. I guess. Okay, so what else you been playing?
Besides Deathloop, I was playing Call of Duty Vanguard beta over the weekend as well.
Is that multiplayer only?
It was multiplayer only, I guess there was, doing that.
Now I got a question about that. Is it more Call of Duty?
It's more Call of Duty. That's how it feels, because I'm playing it and it's like, if you know Call of Duty, you know what to expect.
Call of
Duty. You're not. It's not. It doesn't do anything to change the formula. It's the same type of gameplay, kind of hair trigger type, shooting and grenades. With this Call of Duty Vanguard, is based in World War II, I believe. And I thought that it wouldn't be as interesting to play.
It's either one or two.
Same ones, right?
Either World War I or II. No, I think this is World War II, I believe.
Yeah. But I thought it would be less. It wouldn't be as interesting to play compared to like using modern weapons. But as you play, it's like there's almost no difference. Pretty much in terms of like how it looks and feels. So it was all right. I had a good time playing it. They just have like the standard death match. They have a new. I don't know if it's new, but this is the first time I've played like a domination. I think it's called domination. But this time it's like the area that you're supposed to like cover. So I forgot the name of the game, but there's like it moves. So what is that called?
Well, it's new. That specific mode where the like, because there's modes called domination or like control or whatever.
Yeah, they've been there,
and you have to control a point. But this one moving is a new thing.
Okay, so I think from what I remember, it's as it moves, you earn points while you're there, but people can start shooting you and killing you. So you have to make sure each team is like kind of wrestling to get enough points and try to survive in that. Now, as it moves, as you shoot it, and
to me, I'm like, even if that's fun or cool, it literally sounds like we need a new game mode. Let's take this mode, but how about if we make it like that's like
capture the flag, but it's moving.
They literally said like they're just throwing ideas off the wall and just waiting for one to be like,
I'm pretty sure
there doesn't seem like any creativity with that. Like, not that it might be fun, but the creativity I watched, I was like, okay, this might be cool, but like it's literally taking one game mode and adding a modifier to something and then calling it like a whole new thing. It's not like, at least in like, let me take a game like Gears of War Judgment, where they had a whole mode that was really different. It maybe, it scared a lot of fans away because it wasn't Gears, but it was, at least it wasn't like, let's take Gears multiplayer, but add now every once in a while something rains from the sky. I don't know, whatever.
Like if you're under a cloud, you can't reload, so you got to move out of the cloud.
And it's called like, cloud.
It's like basically like a modifier, like you said. It's like like a little like
that's what it seems like. But it does, the way Call of Duty is played, it makes sense because Call of Duty is all about running around endlessly and shooting. So at least this time,
running, So it's pretty much standard. I feel like it's standard.
Did it look nice?
It looked good. It looked good. I would say, it definitely looked good. The graphics were really good. Because I remember in the menu, they show like I guess the model. Like, you have random models that generate, and the models are really good. As they're walking and everything.
Are they holding their guns and doing things like this?
I mean, what Call of Duty game would they be? Would they not holding their guns? Have you seen someone walk in Call of Duty without holding a gun? Like someone just like kind of like walking.
Are they looking around?
Exactly. Well, this time they're walking around, but they have like a very dour face, like they just lost a war, and they're very serious.
War.
Yeah. War. What's a good
war? Yeah. All right, Call of Duty.
Call of Duty. And what else? Have I been playing anything new? I'm trying to think. I feel like there's a game I've been playing. Not playing.
Let's just get to the.
Wait, there's an Xbox. I played a game on Xbox recently. I'm just trying to remember what it was.
Can't remember it right now.
I can't remember. That's crazy. Yeah.
We'll talk about it later. That's some other.
Sounds good.
Let's get to this PlayStation conference, or do you want to do the Nintendo thing first?
We could do PlayStation. Like, PlayStation conference already came and passed early September, 2nd or something like that.
Okay.
Or 7th.
20-ish minutes, maybe.
So we'll make it quick.
Might have to do a lightning round.
All right, so you go first.
We did talk a lot about our games. Well, no,
I would say what we can do is talk about our favorite trailers that we saw, because I have a couple of trailers that I like.
I gotta go back and look it up.
Yeah, let me do that too. Game was it? What is that called? Hold on.
State of Play.
State of Play, 2021. But I will say, one of the trailers that I did enjoy watching. I think there's two I remember off the top of my head. Project Eve, which looked so dope. It was like a Bayonetta kind of anime type of looks like action game. I think it's made by a Korean studio. I'm not familiar with them, as far as I know. I can't, but the name escapes me at the moment, and it looked really, really good. Like what was kind of jarring for me when I saw the trailer is that the graphics look really good, and it's like kind of like almost realistic in a way, but then you see anime face, it's kind of like draws you out a little bit because they still have like the same like size of like the same big eyes and the same anime-esque features. And then when you put that in like kind of like a photorealistic kind of like type of environment, it looks kind of jarring. But overall, the game looked really good. It has like huge monsters and the character was moving really.
Was this the game where the girl was like in our world and then she got sucked into the other world? Is that what this game is?
I think so. It's let me see.
It's like the brown skin. Well, it's kind of like
not brown. No. That's Forsaken. That's another game that I like. That's the magic one where is the girl who started Charlie's Angel, and she's the main character. That's the next thing. Project Eve is the anime one. Kind of like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta.
Oh, okay, yeah. That one looked cool, but I looked at it and I said, okay, I didn't.
The trailer looked really good.
This is how I feel though. This is how I feel. I didn't even remember it. I now remember it now that you say it. I thought the other game that I mentioned to me was a little bit more
that's the second one. I think it's called Forsaken, right?
Okay, maybe, yeah. I don't remember the name, but I remember the trailer. And at first I was kind of like, oh, I thought this was in the beginning. I thought it was going to be like maybe like a puzzly kind of Life is Strange game or something like that. And then it turned into this kind of open, massively world kind of fantasy thing. And the main character was like kind of spunky and cool. And I was like, okay, and it's a new IP. And I'm like, I always like that too. And didn't look kind of corny. It looked, I saw some frame rate things, but it's early, so whatever. But it looked interesting.
Yeah,
I was interesting. And I'm like, this is the kind of stuff to me you don't necessarily see on the Xbox.
Yeah.
Or you don't see a new, to me, this was like, oh, here's something new,
Yeah, that's the thing I like about it too.
Yeah. It looked like, something cool. Let me talk about something. This is like off top. It's not one of the big ones, but the fact that Uncharted is getting the Legacy of Thieves collection or whatever, which is the PS4 Uncharted and the other ones getting remastered for PS5 and PC.
I heard.
So now I'm jumping into those. It'll be great because now we can finally talk about Uncharted versus the Tomb Raider series, because you said the best is 4. So I'll play 4 and whatever the other one is too with it. I'll play both of those because they'll be on PC. I can't wait because I have the PS4 game too. Now it's kind of like I'll wait now to this and I'll play this.
I'll tell you, 4 is really good. Like it, I think it perfects the Uncharted formula.
We'll see if it's better than 2. That's my thing. I think
2 revolutionized the series, and of course 4 is a derivative of what 2 does, but I think it takes it to another level. I feel like if you like 2, I don't think there's no reason why you shouldn't like 4.
No, so, I mean I like all the Uncharted games, but 1 was like, okay, a series is starting and it has rough edges and some things. 2 to me, and usually games don't always get better with the next game, but 2 is one of those games like you have to play. If you have to play 1 Uncharted, at least on that time, you don't play 3, play 2. 3 is good, but 3 kind of tried some things and failed. I mean, sometimes I felt like it was doing too much and it didn't do anything as strong as 2 did.
Yeah,
you know.
I would definitely say 3 is probably I don't want to say least memorable, but I guess comparatively compared to all of them, it probably is. But I think 4.
I still like 3 better than 1. I think 1 for me. 1 was the weakest one. It's not bad, but I you know, at least 1 was kind of like, especially the combat in 1 was really bad.
Yeah, I mean,
I felt it was really bad.
What always think? Go ahead.
I was just say 3 just wasn't 2 enough. Three was good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the villain wasn't good. The villain wasn't great in 2 either, but like there was crazy set pieces, but they were almost too crazy. Like him falling out of the plane, you almost felt like you couldn't even die. Like, because they were cool, but they almost felt like, okay, now
that's when
I started losing. That's when I started losing the connection of like 1, he was like everyday kind of guy, but you kind of knew he was. 2 was a little bit more crazier, but still kind of. 3 was like, okay, now he's like Captain Murder everybody and can't die. Like you said, Fast and Furious. Like, yeah it's like that. It hit levels of that kind of craziness.
But yeah, I'm so
okay.
glad. Yeah,
so that's coming out. How about? All right, let's get some things out of the way we won't talk much about. Gran Turismo 7. Okay.
Where's the list of games? I'm trying to look for the list of games. I can't.
Just type in PlayStation Showcase and you'll find something. That's what it was. It's called the PlayStation Showcase. And so, even this one doesn't say all the games. This one just shows some of the games. But let's talk about so Gran Turismo 7's coming out. If you're a big racing guy, I mean, go get that. I don't give a fuck. So there's some big heavy hitters, but I didn't mention, obviously. I don't know if you want to mention them.
Yeah, mention them.
I don't have a PS5, so I don't, I didn't play God of War, the first one, the new one, which I know is supposed to be great.
How could you know, boy?
So they called. So now now people knew this was in development. So they showed God of War Ragnarok. Looks fantastic. It's one of those games I saw and I was like, I really wish I played the first one. In my head, I'm like, I'm hoping it comes to PC because there's a lot of people saying this. Games.
It's not like
PlayStation
Sony
games are gonna jump into PC.
Sounds like it.
If you want to wait a couple of years, I'm like, that's why I haven't played Final Fantasy VII Remake because I'm hoping it comes to PC. It hasn't yet. It might not, or anytime soon. But,
listen, once they start putting Uncharted, I think now it's fair game. But I think Uncharted, I think like you said, it might be a couple of years. So maybe they don't want to cut into their sales.
Yeah, because Uncharted 4 came out like
a couple of years ago,
3 or 4 years ago. So if you want to wait a while, and personally, I don't mind in the way that I don't have like PC is expensive, so. And games are, like I said, in my eyes, games are hitting that point where I can play a game that's 4 years old and still looks nice, especially with the PC upgrades and stuff. So I'm like, I don't care. All right, so God of War Ragnarok is coming out, and a lot of people were talking about how fat Thor looked like, but they didn't. There was a lot of pushback I saw too about this is unfortunate.
Yeah.
One of the characters. Yeah. One of the characters is brown skin girl.
Yeah, black girl. Like,
so people are like, this can't be true. Norse mythology, black people, whatever. And I've seen people use like the Face app to recolor her.
Wow.
And stuff like that.
Crazy.
Yeah. And people are saying this is how it should be. And I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Unbelievable.
Like how should anything be when you have dragons and things in the game?
Yeah, it's fantasy.
We need some kind of historical accuracy. People are out of their mind. But the game looked great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. I haven't played the first one, but that was another one of those 10 out of 10 great games people talked about. This one looks like, to me, this looks like it'll be a 9 out of 10. It won't be as great as the first one because it's too derivative of it. But I don't know. I'm just speaking out my ass.
Well, what I do like from the game, I mean, even though I haven't played the game yet, but what I do like what they're saying is that the game is going to kind of end on a duology. I think I forgot
It costs a lot to make.
Number one, the game development takes a
what
long time. So it's like you want to tell like a
it's-
3-game series within 15 years because it takes
yeah.
5 years the game takes to make. So it's like, there's no point in like trying to, do another third sequel and then 5 years later you play it at the end.
I'd like that.
Yeah.
I'd like
think
they more games to not be so many, part 3. You gotta,
Yeah. If games take if the game takes like so long to make, put everything you can into that game. I mean, I think just graphics alone is probably like the main thing where it takes so long to probably create like the world,
the engine working and things. Yeah,
massiveness, the animation, I don't envy anyone who works on game development these days because there's so much moving parts.
A lot of crunch.
Exactly. So I think if developers can kind of try, and I think this may be a trend going forward because I think they're setting a precedent. Oh, I cannot say
precedent.
President, yeah.
A precedent, not president. Precedent.
That's what I'm
saying. No,
precedent.
There you go.
That's what I said. I didn't say
president. Saying president.
I said
sounds like you're saying president.
President is pronounced president. Precedent.
Or like a precedent. Precedent, not
precedent.
Precedent.
You're saying president.
No, precedent. Whatever.
Okay, so you know what I mean. I think God of War has set, is showing like I guess being an example of not having to be forced to do a trilogy, and just saying like, listen, it ends here. This is where the story ends, and that's it. And I think hopefully that sets a trend in the industry where people can make games and they're not thinking about, we're gonna have 5 games in the series and everything, and and the one game ends in a cliffhanger, or
depends on the company, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Certain companies
like Activision. Activision is still gonna have Far Cry 7 and whatever,
Yeah, that's true. But
companies just give me money.
Yeah, but there are certain games companies like I mean, I know not every game company can be like people like Rockstar or Sony's Santa Monica. Like there are some exceptions. Like there are very rare exceptions where companies can kind of like release games on their own schedule, on their own flow, how they want it. Not everyone's fortunate to be able to do that. But I hope that going forward we can just maximize games where they're just like a single player experience, and if it does well enough and happen to have a sequel, okay, of course you can do one, but it's not like, okay, we're looking for a sequel. And I feel like that was like the trend for a couple of years since like the since the Xbox era, but I feel like maybe it's kind of ending now. It's kind of like movies in a way where movies nowadays are all trying to have these expansive universes and sequels, and they of course they can put everything, they can put more in the movie, but they want you to be hungry for a sequel or something like that, or they sequel bait you. So and where back in the day movies were more of a singular experience, and if you have
I think movies are like, they're entertaining, but like the creativity is just, I mean, kind of
nowadays, but everybody wants
everything is either a sequel or a superhero movie or a remake. That's pretty much everything. You get a rare, a director might want to make a movie, but other than that, that's all you get. Hold on,
these were more of a singular experience, and nowadays it's just become like sequel, and they only will be franchises off the first movie.
No, it's not about telling a story anymore. It's about
It's about stretching out the story that you have, to multiple.
It's about taking something and seeing how much money we can squeeze out of this. And so, because think about how many movies came out that were supposed to be franchises that died because they were so bad or something. There was so many of that. The Divergent series, the Dark Universe.
Exactly.
There was so many, just because, even the original DC cinematic universe kind of, it's soft rebooting itself within itself.
And I think they only got lucky only because they have such iconic characters that they're the only
that
are able to survive.
Superheroes.
If they didn't have Batman or Superman really carrying that torch, or Wonder Woman in that case, they would have been definitely screwed. But because they're so iconic, and you can't go wrong with Batman. I think one of right next to Spider-Man, probably one of the most
even a bad Batman movie. Yeah, people are still gonna, and there'll be people defending it. So exactly. But back to the game. So, like you said, I think it's good that they make a story and make it something, because especially too, like one thing we consider too is as gamers too, if it's taking so many years between games, this is not back in the days when we had to wait a year or two for the next game. We're getting you know, the next if this game had another sequel, I'll be 40.
Yeah, right. You know,
and it's just like I'm 34 now, but like,
Mhm.
you know, we're talking God of War. The first one's come out when I was like 16 or something, you know,
Mhm.
15. So now I'm gonna be 40. Like, life is
Well,
different. Like, this is one reason I
yeah.
don't play a lot of games now. It's just like you just
Don't
don't have the
I
time,
mean, you
or
know, granted, you know, they're probably, you know, of course they still want to keep gamers, but you know, I think we're definitely aging out of like that group that they want to kind of entertain. Like if you happen to like something, cool. But you know, we're not
possibly.
that demographic where they're like, we gotta get you into this, you gotta play this.
They
You know,
don't need
that's
us as much as they
yeah,
used to,
exactly. I
right?
think because you know, at
That's
this
for
point,
sure.
a lot of people I
Because there's
think
a lot more new kids coming in. That PS5 is like their first system, so it's like,
exactly right. Xbox 360, like
jeez.
it's funny. PS3 is considered like retro for a lot of people. Like, you know what I mean? It's like it's kind of like
It is retro at this point.
yeah,
It's over 10 years old. Like, I think you got
exactly.
to consider it retro.
Yeah, so it's like you
When
know,
did PS? When did
but
PS?
I feel like retro is still put on like you know I guess like the older
2007,
yeah 2007.
right?
So technically it's in a couple of years it'll be like 20 years old. But it doesn't seem. Here's the thing about that.
Not a couple of years, but yeah.
Well, yeah,
The GameCube's 20 years old now. That's
yeah,
the you
that's
have to
20
look
years
at it.
old. That's a retro
That's
system
20.
too. But no one. But I feel like this
Really
thing
retro.
it doesn't.
20 years.
But it doesn't. I don't hear no one call it retro though. It's just, isn't that
What, the
weird?
GameCube?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
maybe because
by
the
definition
people
it's
that should
retro.
call it retro just aren't, because we
Yeah.
don't. I don't think when I look at a GameCube in my head, I'm not thinking retro, because
Mhm.
my retro is still, you know, fucking NES. Because like there's some meme that do it great. There's a
Mhm.
meme that says, you know, what you think is retro. You know,
Mhm.
no, like what you think is 20 years old, and it shows a
Mhm.
picture of Final Fantasy 4, and they're like, no, this is what's 20 years old, and it shows Final Fantasy 10, and I'm like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
Like in my head, I'm not gonna think 20 years. I think is retro. Is to be
Mhm.
is
Yeah,
safe to
retro
call
like
something
10,
retro.
20 years is
But
retro.
Final Fantasy 10 in my head, yeah, that shit came out in 2001. But I'm like, fuck.
But you know what's
Really?
crazy? Like I think because these games are being released so much,
They are being re-released.
you know,
But
it kind of like edges out like that old feeling because a lot of times they're being released. So it's like
they're re-released and
you know,
remastered. Yeah,
yeah.
I agree with
Because
you.
back in the day, certain games like you know, remember back in the day when you know they had the N64 PlayStation, a lot of companies were like not even doing like you know side scrollers anymore. Like you know anything that's like sprite involved or has sprites was considered old fashioned, and this kind of like it's kind of dead in the water. I guess now with like video games becoming bigger and people understanding games a lot more, you know, they aren't like falling out of favor as quickly. So games that you know that we played even on the 360 or PS3, you know, because they're still kind of being re-released because they still can, if they have like maybe
I think
graphical cleanup, it can still work in this day and age.
I think there's a call for more preservation of
Mhm.
games now than there ever was before. Like, I think that's one of the things. For instance, and I think there's more ways to get a game that you might have not been able to play, almost like other than crazy licensing issues.
Mhm.
But like recently, I don't know if you follow Maximilian Dude. He's a very
Yeah,
popular
I follow them.
fighting game. So Maximilian Dude started a trend of free MVC2, which is free
Mhm.
Marvel vs. Capcom 2, because it was last sold 7 years ago. Then it went
Mhm.
off for probably licensing reasons, and Disney owns Marvel now, whatever the reasons. And the when he posted that, and he's very high up, you know, in
Mhm.
terms of popularity. He has 1 million YouTube followers, and
Mhm.
he basically YouTube's every day. So he talked about it. He talked about emotions, and it started a huge movement. And even to the point where there was someone sent him a video of a WWE wrestling match,
Mhm.
and in the crowd, someone's holding a sign, "Free MVC2," big ass sign at a wrestling event.
Mhm.
So all of these things, people are showing artwork about Marvel's Capcom 2 characters, things coming out the woodworks, people talking about memories. Now they're talking. There's been talks. Disney is in talks with Capcom to do a remaster of Marvel's Capcom 2. 20-year-old game,
Mhm.
you know, but I think there's there's a much more of a mindset to preserve these games now, the older games at least, to keep them fresh. So they don't. So maybe you're right. Maybe that's one reason they don't feel so
Yeah.
retro
Mhm.
anymore. So yeah, okay. So, but it was still. I want to say, like, thinking about GameCube being 20 years old,
Yeah.
I still feel like I was going to my grandmother's house and
Mhm.
playing Metroid Prime, the first one, like religiously every day because that still is like one of the greatest games. And to me, I can't fathom that being, even though that wasn't exactly 20 years ago in that area. I'm like, no way, but it is, you know.
Yeah, it is. You know, time definitely flies. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, fucking yeah, it's crazy. So next game. So we talked God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah,
looked good. What about Spider-Man? Spider-Man's
Spider-Man
2.
2. Okay, Spider-Man 2 definitely. I think that's the third game that I thought was my.
I mean, this is you. You're a Spider-Man guy.
I love Spider-Man on PS4. Miles Morales was great, and this one looks to be even better. And what I like about this game,
exclusively PS5 too.
Exactly, exclusive PS5, and it's gonna be. I can already tell it's gonna do gangbusters for PS5.
Of course,
you know
of course.
What I like about the game.
What
I like about the game is that I like the story that they're going with, like especially in terms of Venom. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but I like where they're going with everything. And it's just like,
I mean, how much could you spoil?
I mean, all right. So you want me to spoil it?
The trailer or from something from the other games?
The story that I think the trailer.
No, because I haven't played it. I mean,
you should play it. It's good. It's really
I am, but I don't have a PS5.
You have a PS4?
I'm not playing it for PS4. I'm not playing it for PS4.
Oh my god, so bougie. What's with this gaming bouginess?
Because it's not bouginess, but really, once you start playing, like for me, once I started playing games at 60 frames per second, I don't want to go back to playing games at 30. I just can't. I don't even care about the shiny. I will turn off the high performance mode and always play just to have the 60, because 60 frames is so like. And I'm not. There's some people like, I gotta only play at 120 frames on PC. I don't know, because the difference between 120 frames and 60, it's there. You can see it, but it ain't like 30 to 60. 30 to 60. 60 to me is the bare, like all games need to be 60 nowadays. Like there's a smoothness to it that my eyes just love. And I immediately can tell when a game is 30. And to me, it's just,
Yeah, I feel that way too. I understand.
That's why I wanted to wait for the Final Fantasy. Like, if I had a PS5, I'd buy the Final Fantasy remake because there's 60 there. It's just the way I feel now. It's a little bougie.
Yeah, PC Master Race, you got to be bougie because, that's your team.
It ain't even PC Master Race. It's just, it is. If it was 60, no, because if I had a PS5, I'd play it. I'm just saying, I just want the 60 frames. Some PS4 games, it's like, go back and play Metal Gear Solid 2 and be amazed. That game runs at 60 frames on PS2. And I always remember that game, the first time I played it, how smooth and beautiful that game was. And part of it was because of that 60 frames. And then I was always aware that some games didn't run at 60 frames. Didn't really bother me. But now, after playing PS4, where a lot of games started to move into 60 frames, not all, but a lot. And then PC, where now almost everything on PC is 60 frames. I just kind of it's like downgrading your phone back to something, a screen that's not good anymore. You just kind of are used to this. That's the only thing. It won't exit my head when I'm playing it. That's the thing. And especially the fact that it's like, in my head, I'm like, there is a better way to play this game. I just don't have it. That will really kill me. Well, so, I'm gonna wait till you get a PS5.
Okay, so either wait till you get a PS5 or wait till it comes on PC, which probably will happen.
That probably won't come on PC. I think they know better.
It's Insomniac owns it, so it's like, okay, maybe not. But
they know better.
Yeah, but it's really good though. It's and Miles Morales was great as well. And I think it looks like you might be able to play as both of them in this game, just judging from the trailer, since they're both there. But yeah, it's really good. So I'm excited for that.
It looks cool.
And they also released. Go ahead. I think I get to that.
So, no, I was gonna say then. Well, Insomniac's game is also making a Wolverine game.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about this? They didn't show any gameplay. They just showed the trailer.
I think it should be cool because Wolverine, I think, is a character. I'm surprised that doesn't have a lot more games under his belt. Like the only last Wolverine game I know of that I think I have is X-Men Wolverine Origins. And
that was pretty good from what I heard. It
was actually really fun. Yeah,
I remember playing it, and some of the things were cool. Like if he was about close to death, he'd look like a skeleton almost.
Yeah, because his skin,
you see it regenerating. Yeah. That's his health bar, right? Like
honestly, he makes a perfect video game character. I'm surprised they people haven't really used him
instead of a million Spider-Man games, how about someone just say, "Hey, let's
Spider-Man is money." Spider-Man is, he's the most marketable.
I think Wolverine is just as pop. He think about X-Men. Like when you think of X-Men movies, it's like Wolverine. It's pretty much the basis of most of them. The ones that he's not in aren't as good.
Yeah, much.
You don't like Wolverine?
I think I go Wolverine, but I'm more of a Cyclops guy.
Oh well, he don't get no play. So.
Cyclops.
He's like cameos in most of these movies.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much. Yeah, I mean, Wolverine is the main character because everyone likes the little badass guy, who's like doesn't follow the rules and always goes off on his own. Like look at Raphael from Ninja Turtles. Like even though Leonardo's the leader, he gets the most of the spotlight because he.
But I want to say too though. Oh shit! Is this spam or is this? Hold on. Hello. Hello. Okay. I had a spam call. I thought it was my food because once my food comes, I'm out of here.
Yep. Right, no problem.
My food's like it says there's a delay. Oh. Okay, so whatever.
1 second.
Well, I think Wolverine as a character design wise though that's part of his appeal too.
Yeah.
The claws, because I for the longest time I didn't know one of Wolverine's real powers was his healing factor. I didn't even know that. Yeah, I just knew he was the X-Men with the claws. Let's go, and then and I thought like that's like as a kid I would take pencils and put them in my thing and pretend
that was Wolverine. The classic like Wolverine,
right? And so like I think his design and stuff is part of his appeal. Like he looks way cooler than like you say he's the rebel because he looks different. All of them. They're either dressed similar or whatever in the show, or, whatever. And so he was always, there's something about him. I didn't even know his powers. Yeah, I didn't even know that. I thought his powers was I got metal claws that come out of my.
I don't know when I learned that, but I definitely learned that like when I was a kid that his powers were really his healing factor and his claws.
Nah, I didn't know that until I was like older. Yeah,
but it's hard. X-Men has a whole bunch of stuff. It's very nuanced in a way. It's probably the most nuanced X-Men because most people if you see them do an ability, like that's his power. But you're not gonna think, Cyclops' power is not really his eye beam. It's really his eyes able to withstand the the eye beams.
Yeah, okay, I guess.
Yeah.
So what else is there? So Wolverine game. It to me like it's Insomniac, so they have a good track record of just making games.
Yeah, so they're doing a big job.
So I'm pretty sure if it's open world. It will be, he'll be pretty well movement based. You can't do Spider-Man movement, but that he might be really fast
or something.
That's cool, yeah, something. Or he'll be very fast. I think he has to have some way to climb, so he's going to use, he's got it. Climbing is just a thing in every, from every game. I think if they can get creative with the movement, I think the kineticness of it, I think that'll be cool. It'd probably be more combat focused, maybe. Like the combat, I think.
So
I think the combat
did they say
better than Spider-Man. No, they didn't. But I'm just guessing.
I'll probably assume. I think they might be. Maybe they might do like a action game, like maybe like Devil May Cry.
Yeah, maybe they might do like a Devil May Cry-ish type action game because that would make more sense. Because Wolverine, you don't have a New York City per se for Wolverine.
Exactly. I mean, you have Canada.
He could technically exist in Canada somewhere. But part of Spider-Man's appeal is New York City and swinging, whereas Wolverine's appeal is he fucks shit up.
So I think that's probably
So all right, let's move on to the next. What else was there?
I don't know. You have the list. I can't even find the list.
I don't have the full list to be honest.
I have like
I have what I thought was the full list, but
Knights of the Old Republic remake, but I don't think anyone.
Oh, okay, yeah. I always wanted to play it, and people talked about how it's really great. So this would be a good way to play it. It's a full-on remake too, so that's pretty good. I haven't played the original. I haven't played a lot of Star Wars games, honestly.
Yeah, me neither.
So,
that was the biggest game. Well, unfortunately, it's delayed to March. Forgetting? GTA 5 and GTA Online for new consoles have been delayed to March. I guess they're releasing them.
I heard something like ball. I don't know what it was. My internet's still up, I guess. Okay.
But they're delayed. It's been delayed to March, so I guess they're creating like a graphical enhancement for GTA 5 and GTA Online for the new current batch of consoles, but it's been delayed.
People were not happy about that.
It definitely wasn't. But I have
not about it being delayed, but just the fact that it's a thing.
Yeah, there's nothing new. There's no GTA 6. But I'm still surprised how much legs GTA Online GTA 5 itself has. Like, I'm just like mind boggled by it. It's amazing.
It's one of the most watched games on Steam. I mean, like
Mhm.
I watch people play it online, and I'm shocked about how detailed it is in terms of the like having your cell phone and how when people are really playing the roles
Mhm.
in an online GTA world and like being on a real server
Mhm.
where people are really doing stuff and how much things there are to do and how like it's really living a second life
Yeah,
in
it really is. Yeah. Like,
and I
go ahead.
people pay to be in servers. Like they
Mhm.
pay just to be part of a server that people really, I guess, LARP, live action role play. I don't know, whatever
Really?
you want to call
Wow.
it.
Okay.
But they pay and they really take their role serious. And people are, and I'm like, this is,
I
and
didn't
it's
know that.
very popular on YouTube.
That's
And
amazing.
that's where all the people keep
You know what's
spending
funny?
money in.
When I was streaming GTA a couple of months ago, I was trying to like progress in GTA Online, and when I was
Mm-hmm.
doing those streams, I remember what's great about the GTA community, especially the GTA Online community, is that they're very friendly. I don't know if it's because they
Mm-hmm.
know that I'm streaming, because when you're in the lobby, I guess I didn't realize this until like people started responding to me. I'm talking on the mic, thinking it's just like okay, it's just me, but I forget I'm in the lobby with other people who can hear me talking. So when they hear me talk and say I'm streaming and I'm just saying all these words, they're like, they either do two things. They either try to come and shoot me or they come and just help me out. So there's one Saturday I was playing and there's this kid who came to join me in my session, and he took me to his house, was to show me his garage. I mean, not even a house, it's a mansion. He has like a building, and he has like these crazy cars, like like Batmobile looking cars, Mad Max looking cars. Like the stuff that's in GTA is like it blows my
Is
mind. Like I'm like he's showing me around, and I'm like, this is like I don't even know how much time he spent in this game. He has his own submarine. He took me to his own
right.
submarine, and it's huge. And I'm just like, yo, this is
And that's like kind of crazy that that's a thing. And
yeah.
it's bigger. It's bigger than Grand Theft Auto 5 to me at
Yeah,
this
I
point.
mean GTA. That's why I think that's why they're gonna release it as its own thing at some point. I think if they haven't already, GTA Online is its own thing. I think GTA 5
Mhm.
is just part of it, but it's like GTA Online is really the juggernaut that people love. So I'm just fascinated. Like every time I stream, like
Mhm.
I haven't streamed in a while. I probably might do it again soon, but it is fascinating to see how much breadth that game has in terms of like the vehicles, the things you can do, and it's amazing. Rockstar hit the nail on the head with that one.
They did. I mean, most people outside of the people that play it
Mm-hmm.
are mad because they do want a GTA 6 by now. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's GTA 5 did come out on PS3,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, exactly.
they're
That's what I'm
getting
saying. We're
tired
talking
of
about like
every
old school.
version.
Yeah. You see, that's why games don't feel old school anymore. That's another reason because they
That's a
can just
good point.
last. They
Yeah,
can
because
just
Grand Theft
continue
Auto
to last.
5 came,
Yeah.
way
So
back
like
then,
that's
and
why
it's
I'm like
still
we're pretty much at the cusp of like the point of no return, like diminishing returns, because it's just like you can play a 7-year-old game as long as just brush it
and
up.
still be engaged. Yeah, and still
Yeah,
be have it be engaging,
yeah,
where people aren't. I guess I mean there is a strong call for GTA 6, but and they're
yeah. Of
probably
course,
working on it.
of course.
But like
But it's
that
probably
it
so
showed like
slow. It's just like okay, we're not in a rush because GTA Online is making.
Rocks. I mean, the way I look at it too, and this is what I hope is that
Mhm.
Rockstar continues their track record of because now like I don't want to trust anybody after the disaster of Cyberpunk. It's
Yeah,
like because that company was notoriously their games had a little bit of bugs in them, but they were quality.
yeah.
And now you want to hope that, and I think Rockstar is Rockstar, so I think they're granted a
Like,
whatever they need to get
like,
it done. But
like
I'm
I said,
hoping
yeah, like I said earlier,
that
Rockstar is fortunate to be in like a position where they can release games on their own time with their own flow. Not having to feel like they have pressure to rush it.
and
Because
and
with
I was gonna say I thought the same for Cyberpunk. I thought
Mhm,
they had that because remember when that trailer for Cyberpunk launched, it said "ready when it's done,"
mhm.
and I don't know if I heard that investors came in and when they weren't ready and they kept pushing, then investors got mad and said that's why I got released in the state it was.
Mhm.
And I thought this company they weren't a small company, but they were definitely not. They weren't under EA or anything. They didn't have any.
Mhm.
So to see what happened with that and how much damage that did,
Yeah, that ruined
I'm
their
just because
reputation.
cause if anything, I feel like Grand Theft Auto 6 whatever era it takes place, whatever, it will be the first, to me, true, real next gen experience of an open world game. I think they can do it, and I think they will do it. Because like you said, they have whatever resources and time, and they're. I mean, I think I heard how much Grand Theft Auto Online made them, billions, something like that.
So it's like
yeah. So as long as they don't turn into whatever Cyberpunk,
Project Red, I mean, it's sad to see CD Projekt Red's reputation go in the toilet, because I think even with the updates, people are there's still issues with the game, and I think it just lost its luster. Like, I don't think
no one cares about what's going to happen with that game. No one, like, people are over it. And I just remember in The Witcher being able to go inside every house, and there's items there and people in there. They might not be important, but you can go inside every person's house and steal random shit. Everything that was a house in that game, you could open the door and walk right in. You can't do any of that in Cyberpunk. There is not that kind of exploration of just random. Cyberpunk is so barren and you just wonder, how did this happen?
It never felt like, as we discussed, I think in that podcast, but it never felt like lived in. It just felt very like, it felt like a 2013 game. It felt like a very and
that I think they had bigger plans for it, and then crunch or whatever came, and they had to cut it, because there's no way, as a respectable person with a product that you love, you release that game the way it was without. You knew it didn't work on PS4. You knew it didn't work on
I think they're banking on the PS5 being the main but it's funny, like, to this day they haven't released the PS5 version of it, so everyone's still really playing the PS4 version that's out there, which is kind of how
because of how
you know what I mean,
crazy that whole thing was. But
all right, but yeah, I think.
But I was gonna say, to bring it back, I think those were pretty much the biggest games announced. There's some other there's some SeaWorld exploring game I don't care about.
I pretty much what did it for me is Project Eve, and it's made by Korean developer Shift Up. I've never heard of them, but that's the name of it. Project Eve was really good. Frontier, not Frontier. Is it Frontier? PS5. Let me just double check. Forsaken. Sorry, PS5 Forsaken. Just make sure I have it. Damn, this game Forspoken. Sorry, not Forsaken. It's actually called Forspoken by Square Enix.
It's Forspoken.
So Forspoken looked really good, and of course Spider-Man's a given. So that's one of my favorite games. So Sony, PS5 has definitely a great lineup. I don't think they have to worry about anything. I mean, except for trying to get PS5s in the hands of people. But I think eventually they'll happen as time goes on. And if not, they'll still be the desired console, because especially with the rarity, it'll make them more desirable.
But the rarity, and then just the lineup. I mean, Xbox does have Halo coming out December.
It's gonna be free to play, I believe.
For multiplayer,
For multiplayer, yes.
So we'll see how that goes. But right now, it's still Sony's game to lose, really.
But honestly, I'm telling you the truth, I feel like the comeback is going to come in the Game Pass. Having Game Pass and playing it and having it, and because I had the Xbox S, I got that for my birthday over the summer. But
people have to still buy an Xbox.
They still have to buy an Xbox, but But what's amazing is that, like, you can play like these new games, and then it's like you won't even like. It's hard to describe, but I think
I have it. I have it for PC, and it works just fine. I can play all the new games. Right, I like it. There's also a little bit of, we said overwhelming. Sometimes it's like there's so many, I don't even know where to start. It just makes your backlog seem so much larger than it really is.
It does, but then what I think, not that I like it, but because I think that the more games the merrier. But sometimes when they have games that's there for a certain amount of time, it kind of helps you, like kind of just like, okay, let me prioritize this first, because this might be leaving or whatnot. I don't like it, but I think it's better than nothing. Because like I said, Xbox Game Pass, it's great to play games that I normally wouldn't play. Like for example, Outriders. I played it last year. After a couple of sessions, I knew that it wasn't for me, and I didn't like it, and I stopped. And for me to play that game before, I would have to probably at least plunk down $50 or $60. Now I can just play it on Game Pass, try it out, and if I don't like it, peace out.
Yeah, I think it has its benefits. Plus, I also think there is something to be said about the way PlayStation does their big exclusive games. And I think some people are having a little, it's not fatigue, but I heard some people talk like they know that their properties are really good and that they just have to, they know they're going to make money if they do a Last of Us remake, which is, remember they talked about that? And then there was a lot of negativity kind of towards that because the game wasn't that old anyway, the first Last of Us.
Yeah.
But they're going to, but it's like, this is a single player great, we're going to remake it or whatever. And sometimes even like I look at, but they had some new cool games from other companies, obviously, but it is, they do know they're single player games, but now they're like, we're just going to make sequels, I guess, to a lot of it. Spider-Man 2, God of War Ragnarok, those are the big heavy hitters. You're going to get that. So if Xbox could just do what they did the 360 generation and kind of, you have your heavy hitters, but then you get that next Gears of War or something. You get that. They had so many new.
It's crazy how they just lost that luster. I just can't believe that happened.
Yeah.
I'm like,
and it's not even like the new Gears of Wars are bad or anything, but it's just like
it's on no one's radar. Like Halo,
whatever made 360 did well, that's another thing it lost the benefit because the PlayStation kind of fixed their online with PS4, whereas PS3 online was ass, and Xbox 360's online was fantastic. Party chats and all that other stuff. It was so easy, so good.
And it was very
that advantage is kind of gone.
Yeah, that's true. So maybe that was it. Maybe it was PlayStation was always their chance, but because Xbox was so user friendly,
Xbox Arcade, Live Arcade.
I think the look of the Xbox, everything else was just like so user friendly and just so more inviting compared to the PS3 that maybe it's more people was driven to it.
They lost their way a little bit. Once, you know what it is too? When the Wii came out and they felt like they had to jump on that so bad. But then they, but not in the way
Microsoft did their Connect. They did their.
But then they had the avatars too. Like you had to make those avatars, and I was like,
avatars
from
Wii,
remember?
I remember that. They still have to this day.
But it's you were forced to make one. Like at the point. Oh, and then the Connect, and then they tried to really go. Like I think I like that they tried Connect to make it something different and better, but that was obviously not the way to go. Definitely. They fucked up.
And what's funny too? You remember PlayStation Home? That was like PlayStation version of like
that never came out of beta. It was always always
beta.
It was always even until it ended. They closed them. Yeah, I remember that was like junk because I played it for a little bit. They had like a bowling alley and you could live. It was supposed to be like that kind of next interaction thing. Yeah, and it never quite got that. Never quite caught on.
Go to the area to watch like trailers and stuff like that.
Which I was like, it's the idea. It's like okay, cool, but then
really a good idea. Like you're gonna physically
maybe not. But I was a PlayStation fanboy, so. Even though I think I had 360, I always want I have to admit my 360 was played more than my PlayStation, and it was the better system. I'm just gonna admit that. I don't care what anybody says. But I, being such a hardcore PS2 guy, and I bought my PS3 before I bought my Xbox 360, I was always hoping the PS3 would have its thing and it would show that it was worthy. It never really kind of did, and so anything that came out on it, I was into. I was into the damn thing that you turn on your PlayStation 3 and it connected to a bunch of computers to help process some data. I forgot what it was called. But it was called PlayStation not at home, but it was called PlayStation something. And literally all you did was leave your PlayStation on so it could connect to a network that helped find cures for diseases and stuff like that. I jumped onto anything that PlayStation threw at me because I was wanting it to be so good. And it, I played all those Resistance. Any game they had.
I would say I played Resistance 3. I think that was really good. Resistance 2. I think I played all the Resistance. Actually, no, maybe I played 1 and I skipped 2. I can't remember. But
I played 1. It was all right.
One was okay.
But I played,
one was like
anything.
It was like supposed to be like another Halo, but it was just like
It was more. It wasn't. Yeah, it was weird. It was
because
Insomniac.
it was Insomniac. But I mean, they were trying to. I think they were trying to make like a mature version of like the Ratchet and Clank kind of thing, where it was just like a first-person shooter, and then you start with some stock weapons, but then you have like very exotic weapons as time goes on because you're fighting with the aliens. But I think they found the right balance and Resistance 3, because Resistance 3 was really fun, and I think if they found the right tone and look at the game, I thought Resistance 3 was really good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I never got too far into the first one, and I played online too, some online matches. But yeah, I don't remember like Calling All Cards. David Jaffe made that.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I was like, man,
I was like, I was playing that. Yeah, and I was playing that like, yeah, this is good. I mean, it was whatever, but I was just it was the PlayStation.
I think because you were happy to see David Jaffe probably do something.
Yeah, I jumped onto it. I was like, oh.
I was a big David. I'm not gonna lie, I was a big David Jaffe fan back in the day. I was surprised that he didn't stay with God of War after like the series, like after the first game.
He probably got tired of it, and they probably were like, "Yeah, you gotta make more of these."
Yeah,
stop making games all together.
Because it's funny to see how the God of War.
Who's that? Who's else? Like Cliff Bleszinski, he's done, right?
Yeah, he's done. Like he used to do all the epic games, like Unreal.
Well, he did. He was big with Gears.
Yeah, made Gears, of course.
What was that game that he made that was not so good?
That was like the Fortnite. Something like
it was before that. That caused him to make that. He made
not Bulletstorm.
It was like not Outriders, but it's not Outriders, but something. Hold on, I have it in my Steam collection that you can't play it anymore.
The
first person shooter that was not Overwatch. It came out like around Overwatch.
Oh, freeloaders or something like that. Free launchers or
Lore Breakers. There you go. Lore Breakers.
Oh yeah, that caused me to retire, right?
Lore Breakers did so bad. It should have been free, but Lore Breakers did so bad that to try to make money, he tried to make that Radical Heights, which was shit. Oh my! I remember playing Radical Heights and
I think
running
that was
through.
The place when you was playing it, and
Yeah, and I was like, this part of the game isn't even developed. These buildings don't have texture or pattern or nothing. They're literally, and I was like,
an alpha build, wasn't it?
It felt like it was an alpha build. It was so janky and bad, and the idea was not good. And shortly, obviously, it failed completely and making any money from it, and then that was it. Closing the studio.
Lore Breakers was supposed to be like Overwatch, right? It was supposed to be like Overwatch.
And the sad thing about it was fun. I played it when it went free to play. I played it, and it was real fast paced. It was real skill based, kind of heavy, like movement. It was fun. I don't know if it was like really that good to have long legs, but it was definitely a nice change of pace. But like looking at his campaign for it, all Overwatch is for babies, and I see why he killed himself with that.
Yeah, he's trying to be like the machoism, this is for real grown-ups, like back in the day, like to entice kids to do something like this is real manly, or this is real cool. You better come
like every Sega ad.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're cool, you play this. You see, this is cool.
We got sports and blood.
You don't want this Disney freaking Overwatch. Disney's Overwatch. You're right.
Yeah,
come over here. This is
Lore Breakers. We blow stuff up.
I feel like the Batman, the Dark Knight kind of unveiled like that whole like dark trope to a lot of people, where now people are just like okay, not everything has to be dark. Because I think the Dark Knight definitely kind of like it wasn't like it popularized it, but I think it made also the public more conscious of like that trope. So now, a lot of people, I think, maybe Cliff Bleszinski was probably still in that mindset where it's like, okay, because these days they love dark, edgy stuff. And, looking at one of the most popular games out there, Fortnite, you can tell that's not true.
And he also, I think part of his downfall is he thought he was invincible. He thought he could just make a game, put his name on it. It's the Cliffy B game. Gears of War was so popular. This is my next game. Buy it. And people are like, okay, and I'll skip. and that was because the way the game was made too, there was no way that should have been a full price game or whatever it was, $40, $60. There was no single player, which a lot of people like the single player aspect. And it was a pure Overwatch type multiplayer game. And, most people that probably would play it already had Overwatch. So you're not getting them. And then the other people you were trying to get looked at it and said, no, I'm good. No campaign or whatever. I got
another character.
There's a million other. Yeah, there's Overwatch. There was Battleborn at the time. There was whatever. There was so many other things.
It was too much. It was overwhelming.
It was too crowded. It was too crowded at the time, and so that was another reason. So
that's when being overwhelmed is not good.
No,
well, not for good for the consumers, not good for the companies, I guess.
Yeah, you can't just release that kind of game this day. But anyway, do have to go real quick. I know that the Nintendo Direct announced 40 minutes of upcoming games. Did we talk about Metroid
Dread? I think we did talk about Metroid game in the previous podcast.
Because I said I was. Yeah, I'm not. Still not. I'm gonna get it.
Me too.
I'm just not. I'm sure it's gonna be good, but man, when you promised me Metroid Prime 4 and show me this, I'm gonna be
even better. Metroid Prime 5. We skipped it. That's how good it is.
Let's just end stream. Let me hit leave.
We had to skip 4 to give you 5.
Metroid. Like when I saw the words Dread, I was like, oh, because Metroid Dread has been rumored for forever. Like even the words Dread appear in Metroid Prime, like in a Project Dread. I'm like, oh, so they brought that up, and I was like, oh.
I mean, I see some more footage.
Looks like a 3DS game, if you ask me.
I think the perspective makes it look like that, but I think when the game has like the cutscenes and he shows like the 3D,
that looked fine.
Yeah.
Once I saw it go to the side perspective, I was like, even to me, like the detail and stuff, like it might look better when you really play it, but like I was like, oh,
see. I mean, honestly, I hope that the gameplay is like, I mean, not that I hope, I think it's going to be a good game. I'm hoping, because you never know. Sometimes they might disappoint. So,
and I seen a Metroid Prime 2D remake or something that looked more interesting than this. So these were fan projects. Of course, they only made the first part of the game, but I don't know. I'm sure it'll be good, but
they also might unveil the last Smash.
Smash Brothers character, right?
But I heard a rumor.
I won't lie, I haven't played Smash since season 2 began. Because you get online and people are way too good now at the game. So I gotta go through getting my ass beat just to start having fun online now. Unless I just play random, but I just like playing the serious mode. But these guys are like,
but I like the 20. They have 20 where you can play like seriously one-on-one, like with like
probably wouldn't make out the first fucking match. Wait, I get on, I'm like,
that's where I feel like that's where the most hardcore of the hardcore players always play, like on the one-on-one tourneys. Like, and I think they have it like every other day, or like maybe they switch it out. I forgot what's the frequency, but there's a certain frequency that they have for it.
My mentality in the game, when I was playing against one kid for like to see where I was, and I kept getting beat. But then I realized that it wasn't that I didn't know the game, but I just couldn't catch on to my mistakes. Once I started to realize that I was doing, like, if I'm running at a kid, he's assuming I'm going to dash attack him, and I most likely probably am. So he already knows that. So he already does everything or gets out of the way, and he punishes perfectly every time. So once I said, okay, I can't just run at him, I have to come at him a different way, I started to get it. But like, if that was the first kid, I mean, I don't know. And people have not played. A lot of people have not stopped playing this game. It's but I can't wait for the last character just because I want to know who it is. I'm hoping it's someone really cool because it's the last Smash character for who knows until the next generation, or if he ever makes another Smash game, I don't even know.
It's gonna be the first swordsman in video games.
The first swordsman? Who's that?
I don't know.
Like the adventure guy from like the text.
Maybe, yeah. Whoever's the first character to wield a sword is probably going to be in there.
Yeah, they just dash my.
I heard a rumor. Take this as it is. I think, did they mention who's going to be the last character?
No,
maybe I forgot.
They showed a thumbs up falling into lava. Sakurai posted a picture of a thumbs up going into lava that looked very reminiscent of Terminator. Some people think it's the Doom guy because there's there is some kind of reference, so people think it's the Doom guy. I would personally be very disappointed if it's the Doom guy, because not that I don't think he would be a cool fighter, but I don't think of him in a fighting game as a character I want to play.
You don't think he's grand enough as a character?
No, I don't know. Well, first of all, yeah, I don't think his character. His name is literally Doom Guy. So like,
and that's recent.
Yeah, and to me, it's like, okay, and I don't. His character is like, okay, he kills stuff crazy, but I never think of him like as iconic as someone I want to play as in Smash Brothers. You know, with so many. Not that I'm saying so many other characters left on the table, because they pretty much got.
They have a lot of people. I mean,
most of the characters that you at this point, like now you're really kind of. But I'm hoping maybe they surprise us with like one glass character that we really. I always wanted Paper Mario. I felt like he fit perfectly. That never.
I wouldn't pay DLC. I don't want to be DLC. Here's the thing: if you're gonna do a DLC, I'd rather the DLC or my money go for DLC. Go to a character that's a third party, because if you would have been a character in a Nintendo game, you had the rights to them already. That should have been put in a long time ago. You know what I mean? I mean, that's how I feel. Maybe. I mean, I know they have the ARMS character or whatever.
I can't say that, because it's like saying, like, I get it's in Smash Brothers, but it's like in Street Fighter when you pay for like E Honda, and he's been in every other Street Fighter, and now you got to actually pay to play him in Street Fighter 5. So if I've done that, I can't say that I wouldn't do it just for a Nintendo character, but I will say, like, I like the first season pass. I waited until all the characters were released before buying it, and I'm doing the same with this, where I saw it like the season. I think these DLC characters, some of them are cool, some of them I'm kind of like, oh, like as cool as Sephiroth. Well, I think Sephiroth to me wasn't that cool, only because I think having Cloud already is enough for me. Sephiroth seems like
overkill, like
there's too much representation from, like, there's so many other Final Fantasies to pull from.
Yeah, sure.
And they pulled 2 from the same game.
Yeah,
I get they have that rivalry, but I felt like this was like, okay, I see it and I see why, but at the same time, it's like,
yeah,
that could have been somebody else.
I agree with that. I think they definitely should have like sparsed like another Final Fantasy character, like maybe like Squall or something like that.
Something, anything,
like, you know, like something like this, you know, from another
might
series.
Not be. Yeah, I guess really.
I mean, the only thing I like about it is that at least I mean, not that they couldn't do it with Cloud, but now it makes more sense if they had it with Sephiroth when they play One Winged Angel, because that's one of the soundtrack ever.
Whatever they did the best. Like when they. You know, trailer, everything. They don't fail with that. But like, I noticed like the thing about the DLC is like sometimes I'm looking at it and I'm like, some of these characters are just like Pyra and Mira. And
like that told me I was like, that's probably the characters I was disappointed with. Like I'm just like, okay, I'm not like, you know, for example,
it's been a lot more disappointment to me. Yeah. Minecraft is cool, but I don't care about.
Yeah, but Minecraft has an impact though, because Minecraft.
But that to me is like, even if I don't care for it,
I know it has,
and I understand it. Exactly. Right, seeing the Minecraft, I was like, okay, they
not for me,
but like two that nobody ever thought would happen. That's
yeah.
I don't think it's just Microsoft, but they bought a lot of it. So the fact that that's in there, you know, Banjo-Kazooie is a good thing. There's a lot that they were like, okay. Some of it has definitely been like, especially like. I remember the last character from the first was Byleth from Fire Emblem, and a lot of people are like, "Ugh."
When I see Fire Emblem, I'm like, "Oh my god, none of the sword characters. This is like more sword character." I like not Heihachi. I feel I keep one.
Kazuya was good.
Kazuya was good. That was
Kazuya was a very good choice,
and I like how he plays too. Like
considering Namco helped develop the game anyway, so I guess that's kind of cool. Terry was good. They had some really good choices. So hopefully this one's more of a hit than the. Like a Pyro or the ARMS character. I feel like those.
But the rumor I heard, and this is just a rumor, that this may not be the last one though.
The last Smash Brothers?
You know, the last DLC. They may have another DLC coming out after this.
Maybe. Sakurai said he's done. I mean, I'm not saying I believe him because they could say anything.
Of course.
But he said, don't hold your breath for any more characters. Don't do this. And to me, that can only mean maybe because the next game is coming. Not for this system, but they're working already on the next game for the next Nintendo system.
Maybe like the top off the podcast, but
yeah, because I got 2 minutes.
Where does Smash Bros. Goes after this? I mean, like you have like 98 characters. Can you release? I don't think they can really start from like square one again. Like
I don't know. That's a good question because they did this, like you said. This it does say it's ultimate, and it does feel pretty ultimate.
Yeah,
I mean, you got over 80 something characters, a million stages and modes. Online is not great, but it's doable. You really can't. You can't. I don't know if you can't start again with the same premise,
and then you can't be like
because you can't be like, oh yeah, we're gonna release because now everyone's here. You have to make every game everyone's here.
You know what I think? I think maybe that this Smash Brothers might be Nintendo's first like platform type of game where it was carry on to generation to generation, meaning that
it should just keep growing.
Exactly,
and then it should make it.
And then
it's not like Mario Kart. You can't just make more. You can make always new cars and new horses and new mechanics. Smash Brothers, unless they have a new mechanic, which might anger people. Other than that, like I don't know what else to say.
Honestly, I think because I know it's not the Nintendo style to do like you like to have like carry a game to another generation just by completely like kind of like how Fortnite is like the same Fortnite that it is like you can play it on anything. I think if Nintendo does a new console or anything, I think Smash Brothers Ultimate would have to carry on to the next generation. Until like
I think the only thing they can do, they have to make the game different, and instead of 2D, maybe figure out. I know it'll piss everybody off and probably won't be popular, but kids, it's for kids anyway. The kids will buy it. The little kiddies will get if they made it like a 3D fighter.
Maybe, but I don't think
I don't know. I don't know what else to do.
I think they can't. I
don't think they can just do what they did. The next Smash Ultimate 2 or Smash Super Ultimate. I don't know what the fuck. Smash Final.
It's gonna be really interesting where Nintendo goes with that. But
So we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta go, man.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching the 8-Bit Generation 8BGCAST. This is Steve.
This was a good one.
Definitely a good one, a long one. And if you guys like this and our conversation, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. All right,
I'll text you.
Sounds good.